Hey, I'm Quincy and I'm a radio personality, but just like you, I'm always wanting to make better health choices for myself and of course for my family. Now that's why I've teamed up with my friend Dr. Dean Tyndall and the fine folks of New Life Naturopathic, the creators of new-lifeweightloss.com, to bring you a podcast focused on giving you the information you need to make the best health decisions for you and your family. Now, that's going to be without sway from what mainstream medicine has become. Now, this podcast, Pursuit of New Life, we're going to release one each Friday. And we're going to focus on debunking the mainstream medicine myths now associated with naturopathic, holistic medicine, while giving you clear insight into ways you can make your health a lifestyle and not a jump from fad diet to fad diet. Experts in the fields of biochemistry, chiropractic, physiology, women's health, and much more will weigh in on a range of topics, all designed to open your eyes, expand your knowledge, and bring you to new life. Now be sure to subscribe to Pursuit of New Life on all the podcast platforms, and also follow us on YouTube at newlifenaturopathic.com, and be joining us every Friday for Pursuit of New Life.
Welcome in, everybody. It's episode number 2, Pursuit of New Life. We've got the New Life Naturopathic team on board with us again. We're so glad that you've decided to come back and hear what more we have to say here. We're looking forward to all that we get to share and impart. I'm excited because I get to ask questions that I know you're thinking about at home. So we'd love for you to download, subscribe, and all of that great stuff through YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all of that, and share it with your friends for this Pursuit of New Life podcast. We've got Dr. Dean Tyndall, Dr. Julie Stuber, and we've got Miriam Abbas, and we are going to bring you some more information, and we're going to tell you why naturopathic is different, and then we'll get into a little bit of what makes New Life Naturopathic different. So Dr. Tyndall, what is it that makes naturopathic work, medicine, so different than traditional and mainstream?
Well, first of all, when I hear traditional and mainstream, I kind of have to laugh sometimes, because naturopathic work and like nutrition using herbs, things that we've been doing, has actually been around. I tell people it's the original medicine because it's been around for thousands of years. In Chinese medicine, recorded history, 2,000 years of recorded history. Most of the stuff that you do today, as far as, quote unquote medical care, has just been developed in probably the last 120 years. So it's in its infancy compared to what we've been doing and what we have out there and the information that we have available for us to help people get healthy. The biggest difference between chiropractic, naturopathic, and traditional healthcare is kind of the analogy I use with people is it's like a firefighter. Medical doctors make great firefighters. So they're great because I'm not anti-medical doctor. What I am is pro them staying in their lane and doing their things and let us do the things that we do best. So for example, back to the firefighter thing, doctors make great firefighters. You really want them sitting around doing nothing. But when they have, you have a broken bone, a car crash, so emergency medicine, United States is probably up near the top of industrialized countries on medical care, saving your life, doing emergency stuff. But when it actually comes to actual health care, the health of our citizens, the health of people around, getting people not managing their sickness or disease like you would like diabetes or whatever, where they keep them on drugs forever, but actually getting people healthy, we are near the bottom. And back to that analogy, people, if your house is on fire, the firefighters come, they put out the fire. They don't care about your front door. They don't care about your house. They don't care about your furniture. They're worried about putting the fire out. And after the fire's out, what you want to do is bring in a contractor to repair the damage. And that's where chiropractic, naturopathic work, acupuncture, massage therapy, all those other different healing arts is to come in and repair the house. And then after you get the house repaired, rebuild, you do maintenance and manage, maintenance and, maintaining, try to keep in prevention to keep that house from being on fire again.
That is probably one of the most understandable descriptions of how medicine and how treatment and how prevention should all work together. I love that. So when somebody says, well, then why isn't everybody doing this? What is it that, I mean, we know that it's a money-making machine, of course, trying to get you on drugs and everything else you just said. So what is it that keeps naturopathy from being mainstream and being the one that everybody wants to go find?
Fear and propaganda. It's back to the money, the big money issue. A lot of my patients because when we get patients in, as far as our chiropractic, naturopathic work, things like that, we're getting them at the end of their quest. They've been through the medical doctors, they've been through the gambit. So when we get them with all the damage that they originally started with, the chronicity of the problem, and now all the damage that the medical doctors have done with all the drugs and surgeries and things like that. And what's really cool about what we do, we can actually get them better, even with all that stacked against us, because the body wants to be healthy. Okay. Right. But you're looking at the biggest part of it is money. For example, like we have a patient that has a gallbladder problem. We can straighten them up, fix a gallbladder up, clean a gallbladder out for about $60. A medical doctor gets about $24,000 for surgery to remove your gallbladder. So I tell a lot of our patients, they ask, what's going on with them, because when we get them in, they usually have test after test after test. And I tell most of them they suffer from GID. And they're like, what's GID? And I go, it's good insurance disease. Because the medical profession is switched from, in the past, if you're old enough, you remember like Marcus 12 at EMD, and the doctors in the past used to really actually care about the patient, know their patients, really fought to get them healthy, and they talked about lifestyle, dietary, all that other stuff. Nowadays, it's like, let's get you on the drug, and then let's get you on the next drug, and let's get you on the next drug, and let's get you into the surgeon. And the problem is that's not healthcare. That's just sick care and making people sicker for money.
Sick care. There's a trending hashtag for you. It's sick care over there. Okay, so for our YouTube viewers, we've got a graphic that talks about the difference between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine. That is something that I think a lot of people would be interested in. So for those that can't see it, let's make sure we, visually talk about what we're seeing here. And tell us some of these differences, Dr. Tyndall. And then, of course, Miriam or Dr. Stuber, if you guys want to chime in here on this conversation, some of these differences, even in just Dr. Tyndall, in the philosophy between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine. You've already been kind of touching on that.
Yeah. So, if you kind of look at the graphic, you can see that naturopathic medicine, we're highly educated. I've got 2 doctorate degrees, one in chiropractic and one in naturopathic medicine. If you look at the hours that we spend is at chiropractic school, Julie went to school together too at Palmer. They compared Palmer to Johns Hopkins University, and we actually spent more classroom hours and more time in schooling and education than medical doctors did, especially if you went to Johns Hopkins. And the thing about the term doctor, a lot of people get misinformed of what it means. Doctor is supposed to be an educator. That's what doctor actually really means, is to teach. And the other thing, doctorate means that you received a certain level of education in a field of expertise. So doctors, you have JDs, judicial doctors, you have dentists, doctors of dentistry, you have doctors in pharmacy, and you have doctors in medicine, drugs and surgery, you have doctors in chiropractic, you have doctors in naturopathic medicine. So what you're doing, and what that means is that you've obtained a certain level of education that's recognized by states and governments and learning institutions, that once you just don't receive that level of education, they bestow that term doctor onto you. So that's a biggest mistake a lot of people make. They think, oh, you're not a real doctor. Well, yeah, we are.
Absolutely.
And basically the rest.
Go ahead.
Basically, the rest of it it's a philosophical difference. It's drugs and management of disease versus lifestyle changes, targeted supplementation, lifestyle changes to get your body healthy. So you don't have to take drugs. You don't have to try to do the surgeries and things like that.
Right. And Miriam, for you, since you went through the schooling and then changed your mind because of what you saw it all becoming, why don't you kind of comment here on this education and training part too? Because I think people, as he just said, kind of have this misnomer of, oh, well, you're not a real doctor. You didn't do this, this, and this. But there's a lot more going on with what you guys are doing than what it seems like others are doing with their education and training.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually definitely got that experience while I was pre-med. A lot of my colleagues would actually say, and as I was actually planning on transitioning into the field of alternative medicine, one of them used to call me a possible witch doctor. Oh, you want to be a witch doctor? And sort of smirked at the idea, and I found that fascinating. And that's the unfortunate thing you get is it just seems like it's more of a competition rather than everyone from these different types of fields coming together to heal society and patients, and that's what I think should be, and hopefully what can be made possible with the work that we're doing. It's just kind of collaborate and make that possible. And education is, I think, number one, educating just the general public about just the differences and the misconceptions in naturopathic medicine. And really honing in on those and just teaching people what naturopathic, holistic, and alternative medicine is all about, and the importance of it, and how it's different than conventional modern medicine. And to me, and I think to all of us here at the team, it's not an either or kind of a thing. We're not trying to replace modern medicine, but rather enhance it and do all the things that they don't.
Yeah. Well, and I think even the term that you just used is part of even one of the issues we were just talking about in the propaganda side of it. You had to call it alternative medicine. The word alternative as in this is something separate
Out
from
of the ordinary.
Yeah, out of the ordinary. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So Dr. Stuber, what do you think about this part of it that we're talking about here? What do you have to add?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. I what's sticking in my head is Dr. Tyndall and I went to school together in the 80s. So in the 80s, it was a lot different because everybody had an insurance card and they put it down and they paid, no big deal. And I went to Florida, he went to Kentucky. So in Florida, it's a little bit different, and the insurance industry changed very quickly. Here, not so much. But as the medical system got bigger and bigger and bigger, people got more ingrained in that insurance card. And they just simply, people have a mindset that, oh, well, I'll go have surgery because my insurance will pay for it. But to pay $100 to figure out what's inside of me that needs to be fixed for the outside of me to be healthy, it's, at least for me, it's a constant battle. It has been a constant battle. The good news is the medical system is failing. Everybody knows it's failing. Over 80% of people that go to see a doctor, if they get to see a doctor, which rarely you do, they are good to see an APN or an ERN or an RN or a D. I don't even know.
MOUSC, right? Yeah.
Exactly. They look on the computer and they actually Google things right in front of you. No, let's get some blood work. Well, there's nothing on your blood work. Oh, then they just Google things. One thing I'm excited about being here in Kentucky is I have yet to hear anybody like their medical doctor. And I've paid very close attention because if I heard somebody say, oh, they're great, I would mark it down. So when we work with people, I don't want to work against them. That's pointless. So it's sort of like, I guess my point is that it's like the tide, it ebbs and it flows, but people are getting to the point, and it's sad, but they're desperate. They're getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and this insurance well is drying up. So if you want to go into surgery, it's going to cost you, I don't know, $5,000 out of your pocket if it's some ridiculous thing, and you're probably not going to be better. So the biggest thing is people are getting more educated, and that's what our team is about, is educating people so that they understand that, like Dr. Tyndall says, this is the original medicine. we're not alternative in any way. We're complementary. We still complement each other, but unfortunately, stereotypes and ego. It's a lot about ego, and it really needs to stop. It needs to be about the benefit of the patient, and that's what we're about.
Yeah, I think we've kind of now looking at this graphic, you guys each in your own way kind of covered each of these columns. For those watching on YouTube, we talked about philosophy, we talked about education and training, we talked about treatment approaches and how naturopathic has a wide range and strive for individualized treatment using diet and nutrition. And we talked a little bit about diagnosis. So now let's get into Miriam's field a little bit here and get into laboratory testing. That's kind of your forte. Talk about a little bit what makes laboratory testing on the naturopathic side. I'm not going to use that word alternative anymore. Talk about it on your side from your perspective and what separates it from conventional or what they call conventional medicine.
Sure, absolutely. So I think in our last podcast, I briefly shared how I joined Dr. Tyndall's team. And I started working in the office shortly before, or not too long before COVID. And I was just trying to learn the dynamics and just how the office and business operates. And so shortly after the COVID pandemic, his office actually shut down. Along with thousands of others in the world, including hospitals, and we were trying to think of what we could do during this time to kind of just grow the business a little bit, but mostly to get our patients more access to our services, and so that's how we started the telehealth company, New Life Naturopathic. And so I came up with the idea with Dr. Tyndall of opening a laboratory and laboratory services in office on site. And that was basically implementing a lot of different types of testing and phlebotomy services and blood tests and things of that nature. And so we were working on that. And then when we were able to open the office back up, we started those services. And then we extended that into mobile services as well as providing at-home test kits. And we provide a lot of different types of tests from blood tests, saliva testing, hair mineral analysis, genetic testing, food allergy, you name it, and more of the information's on the website. But that's what we're mostly, and especially me, is most excited about is just providing all these different kinds of services to be able to analyze any type of disease or health issue. And that's what kind of makes it all, going back to holistic. You're able to integrate all these different tests and be able to analyze all these health problems from different perspectives, and it becomes like a puzzle. It becomes like a puzzle piece that you're putting together to ultimately solve these various health issues in each patient. And so that's what it's all about. So that's mostly what I am helping to work with, and what we're in the process of implementing more of. We'll possibly also add some psychological and mental health type testing as well. So that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So more to come.
More to come. That's why we're going to do some more of these episodes. So Dr. Tyndall, how does laboratory testing really play into, before we get to Dr. Stuber, and we're gonna talk about some of the women's health opportunities through New Life Naturopathic. Dr. Tyndall, with laboratory testing and how you guys apply it to your client services, what is the main advantage to coming to you and getting this laboratory testing as opposed to conventional medicine?
Oh, it's several advantages. Number one, we use a discount lab service. So most of our patients, we can save them about 70% off our cost. One of our main tests that we do with our New Life panel, we're looking at your thyroid, liver, kidneys, CBC, CMP, just kind of whole plethora of stuff. At the hospital, it runs about $1,500. In our office, it's $370. Plus, the company that we do with gives you a 17-page functional report. So basically, it takes all your labs, and it's nice because it tells what each lab is, what it means, so the patient doesn't have to remember or forget. Remember, but they don't have to remember because it's written down there for them. Plus, what it does is when we do the labs, what you're looking at is all the lab values, and you're trying to use that information to figure out where your patient is moving. So a patient can still be within quote unquote normal ranges, but they're moving towards the direction. Well, you don't want them to go, like, for example, insulin. Ideal insulin level is between 2 and 5. But depending on the lab, if you're over 19 or 24, it's now considered high. Well, man, you're diabetic. You're already diabetic, but nobody's intervening. And so what you have is you become a full-blown diabetic and to have the full diagnosis. Then everybody wants, and let's try to get you back here. Let's give you the drugs, and then it doesn't work. So what we do with the labs is we're looking at them, seeing which direction you're moving. And the other thing is it quantifies it. So as we do our work and our therapy with patients, after about 4 or 5 months, well, where you are in the labs, and guess what happens? You start to see the numbers coming back. And that really encourages the patient going, oh, wow, this is working. What it's doing is helping. Not only symptoms-wise, they feel better, but when you look at their lab work, they're like, oh, I'm better. So that's the nice advantages. Plus, the advantages of us doing testing is we actually, and as Miriam said, we actually in our office do more testing here than is available here than actually most hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Dr. Stuber, so as we kind of transition into you getting to talk about your part of the team here of the women's health part of things, kind of piggyback on this conversation of laboratory testing and how that impacts what you do, and then kind of give us a little bit about the women's services there at New Life.
Well, the biggest thing with laboratory and diagnostic services is you can actually track and find out what's wrong on the inside. Being focused on women's health, the things that I hear from so many women, I've got this, or my hormones are messed up, so I'm taking this, but they have no idea what's going on. They've gone somewhere and somebody says, messed up hormones based on some symptom they have, and they put them on stuff and they just get more and more screwed up. Mm. So the nice thing about the laboratory, especially the Dutch test, is really, really good. We have saliva, DNA, all kinds of things, but measuring hormones all the time, and all of them, not just 1 or 2. A woman has a lot more hormones going on in her system besides estrogen and progesterone.
So, Dr. Tyndall, we're not going to comment on that. Continue. Go ahead, Dr.
Well, no, I am by education a chiropractor. And when I went to school with Dr. Tyndall, and when he graduated, he came to Kentucky, and I went to Florida. And my experience has been more in women and children's health, just naturally because I'm a woman. And again, he and I started practicing in the early 90s when there just weren't that many women doctors, especially chiropractors.
Right.
And just through my own life, I began doing acupuncture in the state of Florida. And just listening to women, listening to their complaints or their concerns about their children, and a lot of it's propaganda with the medical system. They come in with a term that didn't exist 10 years ago, but now everybody has it. And so just I relate. I had a lot of health healthcare crisis of my own. I wasn't a very well child. I had a surgery and I got very sick afterwards and was on antibiotics for about 3 years. So throughout my life, I didn't really know it till recently, but has been a struggle to get better. And I thank God every day. I found a chiropractor in Davenport. I hurt my back, and he changed my life in this sense. So I said, that's it. I'm not going to medical school. I'm going to chiropractic school. And then the gradual transition of things was things would come up in my life, and I would go try to get help. I would get help. I'd order stuff, whatever I thought. We didn't have people back in those days. But I knew a lot of, again, complementary healthcare providers. So the main thing is that through my own experience personally and my experience with women and children in my practice, I feel like, I don't want to say I've got an edge, but I think I have a level of compassion and understanding that a lot of practitioners don't have, especially younger practitioners. Like, I am a woman that has been through menopause. I've had children, one child, sorry about that. I've gone through so many. I had a really bad fall and it took me out of work for about 10 years. So I am in the recovery process myself. And Dr. Tyndall has turned me around really incredibly. My picture is on our page, I believe, and it works. Everything, the body boils down to nutrition. It boils down to physiology. You have to have the right ingredients on the inside for anything to work right. And I don't care what you do. You can go to the gym every day. You can go to the chiropractor all the time. You can go to the acupuncturist. You can go to the medical doctor, the massage therapist. They all have their thing. But if you don't have nutrition for the body to function, you are never going to heal and be well. So Dr. Tyndall and I were talking, and I wasn't doing much in Florida. And I asked him if he had an associate tell me about what he was doing. And he said, yes. And I said, okay, well, can I come? Can I have the job? And he said, sure. So about 2 weeks later, here I was, and I am a work in progress, just like everybody else. But I mean, when I got here, I was in really rough shape. So I couldn't climb the flight of stairs when I got here. I'm in Florida, so 30 years, there's no stairs down there. So when I saw the stairs, I said, oh, stairs. He goes, yeah, what about them? No, I can do, and I do at least 25 up and down the stairs. And these aren't just one stair, like you go up this way and then you turn.
I know.
And you like 20 stairs up and 20 stairs down. And I can do it with no hands.
All right. Now you're the stair master. Yeah.
I didn't even do the one stair in the cat food. So it is incredible what he has to offer, what he can show you. A big part is, we don't just throw things out there. We educate. That's, we're not just going to guess. We're going to explain. And then one person make the best decision for themselves.
That's really good. And we've got a little bit of time left for this episode and for Dr. Tyndall to tell us what it is. Now that we've talked about the various differences between conventional medicine and the original medicine, why don't you tell us what makes New Life Naturopathic different from others that might even be doing the original medicine as we've talked about today?
Well, just real quick, when I was putting together my practice and I was doing some add naturopathic services to my office about 25, 26 years ago, I had to decide where I want to start, because there's an old Chinese proverb when we were in a class that it says that the frog at the bottom of the well does not know or understand the vastness of the ocean. And then so when I was sitting next to my buddy, and I said, yeah, but when you get out of the well and you see the ocean, you kind of go, where do I start? Because it's so vast. There's so much stuff out there. And when I try to tell people, there's not one way to get people healthy. There's multiple ways. So what I had to do is figure out which way I want to do. And I kind of just look at it from the basic level. And I said, where's most people messing up? at the basic level. So that's why we put together our New Life weight loss website, because we need to teach people how to eat healthy again, because that's 80% of people's problem is their lifestyle, what they're eating. And then the second thing is I just want to stay, focused in on basically care that patients can see, that they can focus in. That's, that's why we got, with discussion, why I was okay with bringing the labs, as Miriam suggested, to bring in, because what we want to do is show patients that what we do works, and they need to see it. And so like I said, we stay just really basic, and we don't try to fix everything. We try to focus in on a particular problem that a person has, because there's a lot of compensation issues. So we kind of try to do with the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. And as you can see, what really makes us unique is the team that I've got behind me, because I've got Dr. Stuber, who can focus on the women's and children's health. I got Miriam for labs, research, and especially when we get in some of the genetic stuff, she's like kind of our go-to to answer questions on that, because that's her forte. She loves doing that stuff. We also have Tara's not on usually. She's got her own podcast, but she's our health coach. So if we have patients who are struggling, people will hire Karen, and she does it over the phone. So she'll get on the phone with people and say, where are you struggling at? So what we try to do is provide a whole gambit of services for our patients to make sure they're successful, because it is, it's easy for people to pop pills. The hardest part they have to do is change that lifestyle, and those habits there kind of end. And so what we try to do is through education, support, coaching, and all that stuff, and that's what you get from us, and you get that personal touch. So we have it, we have patients that if they need something, we have a kind of a thing. If you need something you need to know right now, text me. We'll get back to you. If you need to write down now, call the office and give the detailed information to the staff, and they'll get a hold of either Dr. Stuber and I, and then we'll get back to them like, here's our recommendation as far as what you're doing. So you get that personalized care. And like I said, the big part is just the team behind me and the people that are here supporting me and helping me try to help us grow this, and try to, our goal of just try to get as many people as healthy as we can.
Amen. And one of the things that you talk about a lot, even though you do have products to sell, it's not about selling products. And I love this here that you've sent me before about how it isn't selling products, and it's about making sure people become the best version of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. For those on YouTube, they can read it. For those that aren't, it's not about selling products. It's about helping people to become the best version of themselves and showing them how to become healthier and more vibrant. What a goal that is. I like it. All right. Well, I think we're out of time.
That's the goal of every doctor.
That should be. That's it. That's what we've been talking about. Before we wrap up this particular episode, let's start with Miriam. Do you have anything else you want to add on this topic of the difference between naturopathic and conventional, or what you guys do that's different? I'm going to start with you, and then I'll let Dr. Stuber give us something as well.
I guess what I should add is, just remembering how every person is different and how important it is to recognize that. And that's a lot of what we do is personalized care. And that's kind of where a lot of these services come in, these different types of, genetic testing and lab testing, as well as mental health services, counseling. This process can be very straining and very difficult. It's not supposed to be easy, but that's what we're here for. We're all in this together. We're supporting each other. And we've also been through it in our own ways. I mean, I've also had my own health issues that I'm still dealing with. I'm a million times better than where I was months ago, thanks to Dr. Tyndall. But it's always a progress, and that's something to remember. You're never alone, and you are an individual, and just to remember that.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Dr. Stuber, I think you're going to get the last word today.
Well, how we're different is, number one, the team. We work together, and our approach is very simple. We connect with the patient. We explain to them why, so they can understand her. And it's not a fad. It's a forever. You have to start developing different habits, and we're here to help them. And those habits have to continue, hence the word habits. And there's choice. Like for me, just the health where I was at when I got here, I know that it's changed forever. And as we get a little older too, it sort of hits you right in the face. But that's what we're different. We're about forever. Even I'm about right now. We're about, okay, let's deal with it and let's just work forward to have you be the healthiest you forever.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing that we've talked about even in our couple of episodes here, the difference between lifestyle and the fad diet and all of that kind of stuff. And that's a big reason that newlifeweightloss.com is a site that you need to go to. And if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, that's at new-lifeweightloss.com. You can see that there on your screen, along with newlifenaturopathic.com. Those are the two places that you can go to connect with the team and see what services are available. And of course, again, this podcast is not just pointing you to the specific services. It's also trying to give you information to help you go after these things for yourself. But I'm telling you, as we've talked about last episode, newlifeweightloss.com is a great place. Lots of resources and very, very affordable. So team, thank you so much. Pursuit of New Life podcast. We're going to continue to try to get some of these out there to you folks. Make sure you're downloading and make sure you're subscribing and you're sharing and all of that good stuff to get this information out there. So for Dr. Stuber, for Miriam and Dr. Tyndall, I say thank you for joining us, and make sure you stay checking it out to see when more episodes are coming of Pursuit of New Life.
Thanks, Quincy.
Thanks, Quincy. Thanks, everybody.